driver, Wrecking Ball pile driver, the Scorpion Deathlock considers to be a pile driver.
But yeah,
belly to belly.
I don't think it's
belly to belly, belly to back pile driver. Lots of pile drivers.
I only know the pile driver as a wrestling move.
Yeah.
That's me. When you think wrestling, you do think Zoe. That's all I have regarding opinions. Will we see Ball in our next match? That's my transition. Rad Esports and Timeless will be going up against each other. So the answer is most likely yes. What do we know about these teams? Will Timeless be able to just continue their dominant streak? Because quite frankly, no one really shook things up against them except from Nightmare, which was a 5-map banger in week, what was that, 2?
Yes, it was. You talk about the Timeless game. Yes, it was.
Yes.
It was very, very close. I think that this Rad team got gassed up a lot by us to start with, because I thought, okay, these guys getting really serious. Saw that the roster they put together, but it actually has been Avidity that has impressed us more from that sort of middle of the crop group of teams. Rad now are in a position where, checks notes, they are trying to avoid being in that relegation zone themselves. Right, there's a risk of them actually. It's them and Shikigami that are trying to stay out of it now after Amplifier confirmed. So we've got to see maps picked up at some point along the line, because it's not looking great.
I mean, Timeless is just playing for the maps right now because they want to be in that top 3 and in the conversation for that. So let's see if they can get it done, just like Nightmare and Team Liquid did earlier today. Gentlemen, please take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, let's jump in and get this one started up. Let's do the ban straight away. So Lucio, I get a Lucio ban. Okay, on control is kind of, that's nasty work. We have a Winston banned. It's possible that Raik has been playing the Winston on Samoa in the past, but if you think back, a lot of these maps are very reasonable to just take the Ramatra or the Malga or even, I don't know, anything that really plays Orisa in the neutral. So, and if we get Volcano, I don't think that's a Winston map at all necessarily. So.
Right. And this is a Timeless team who they can play a lot. I wouldn't really kind of categorize them as a team that's we're going to try and play or force Winston in, right? Can play a lot of ball, can play a lot of the Ramatra here. I also think, Mitch, there's got to be a part of Timeless that is kicking themselves a little bit, losing that match to Nightmare, right? They'd have a clear path at this point if they had won that one, but can't go back in time. They got to take care of business here against Rad. They can't. Rad does have a really bad week last week, but there is a world in which they kind of get back on the wagon a little bit, right? And they start to play better.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough week for them. They've got Timeless now and an SSG tomorrow. Then they have Nightmare at the start of week 4. So, God, if they could come out of any of those games, or all of them with some decent results, something promising, especially something that keeps them above Shikigami, which shouldn't be too hard. It's going to be there. Big buyer though, connects onto Rad. The Immortality Field necessitated by that, and it's still not enough to keep Chronic alive in the end. So Timeless will be having a brawl with this Ramatra comp, especially when Squid is able to set them up so beautifully.
Time and time again with Timeless, we're talking about, obviously how good Chopper and Rocket look and all the different things that Riker can do. It feels like every game that we watch, Squid is making some massive plays, and right there, Rad Esports is doing a great job taking a lot of that high ground, pushing them back constantly, and then all it takes is a 2-player bio, the Immortality Field's out, and everything just crumbles there for Rad Esports.
Look, this is tough. You are playing what is virtually a poke composition against Timeless, and this is the map where the straightaways are not as long. You can definitely walk up on someone, but Rad are hoping with the Lucio ban, you don't have this easy speed boost, win condition where you run in on this brawl setup, which is conditionally true. Timeless have to move up a lot slower. As you can see right now, this is what Riker is attempting to do and gain a foothold on this high ground. That'll be delayed a little bit here by this, amplification matrix, but a nano boost here for Riker. Evidently, it's important enough to keep the Ramatra on the field, and they've expended this, and hey, they've still got point control. That is an Immortality Field that gets no value whatsoever, as Timeless have now decided, let's push on it.
But wouldn't you say, though, with the Lucio kind of gone, right? There's not a large gap on this map that you would need to cross with that
that's what
speed,
I'm saying.
Right? Yeah,
the straightaways aren't here.
Yeah, you don't exactly need
otherwise,
it
man,
here.
They'd just play like Juno if they were really that obsessed about having some form of speed boost, right?
Yeah, no.
It's not an issue. Timeless are happy to play this they're playing, taking bit by bit, sequentially moving up the map and taking this control, because they can play out of line of sight. They can wait out the cooldowns and they just step up on them. It's a slower game plan, but they've already got the point. They're already ahead. They don't even have to do this.
And then for Rad Esports, right, it feels quite terrible. So let just kind of desperation here because the point is going to go in favor of Timeless. For Rad Esports, it feels quite brutal, right? Because you're trying to push up like methodically and move into Timeless here, but then Timeless is hitting you with bio grenades, right? Like in this instance, you could have just walked right into like a Kitsune rush. So a lot of difficult stuff for Rad to deal with in not a fun way.
Absolutely. And you know, Timeless, like they don't have to push up. There's another strategy where they just sit back and wait for Rad to commit to capping the point, and then they take a fight against them. So, you know, either way, very, very difficult for Rad to find success there. Painkiller, we've seen them on the Queen at times, right? That has been what some teams think the answer to Ball is. We're heading over to downtown, so this is obviously the map that you could definitely play a Wrecking Ball on, enough of that sort of high architecture to guarantee easy drop-down spots on the ball.
And this is something that if you're Rad Esports, right, you know that Timeless has a ball option, right? So getting rid of Winston is like, I mean, they're not like in the same category, right? Like, you know, I think with ball, you just play a completely different play style than you play with any other hero. But you can still like, I mean, the Winston ban doesn't seem as impactful. But this also for Rad, if you're looking at it from the other direction, right, allows them to hold on to a ball ban for like later in the series.
Yes. Which, again, what we talked about later on, I think is fair. You know, you are trying to set up a situation like with the Lucio ban. I think it's fine. Like, ban Lucio, try and play a Pocom. For me, just, okay, I'm glad they're going for that. Like, there does seem to be some strategy there behind that sort of pick and ban process. Still, Timeless obviously off to a great start here. The ball is going to be frustrating at best for Rad to deal with. They do have Chronic, so that's sort of the hindrance of the mag grenade. And we heard Vega previously, right? Like, against, like, you know, certain comps, like Torb Sombra, for example, it's a little bit hard for Ball. So it is, you can handle it, but he did say there's no true counter to a good Wrecking Ball player. Rad are going to have to find edges elsewhere.
I don't think there's like a hard counter like we discussed. I think it's more of what can you do to deter or slow down or negate some of the impact of the ball, right? You're not going to shut it down completely, especially with the ball players at this level. I mean, look at that. I mean, Painkiller. Yeah, he took so much damage even walking onto the point originally. I was shocked he was able to live through that. And then towards the end there, hit with the bio. I mean, just really weak as well. You're not able to challenge any of the high ground here, right? So Squid and Chopper and Lucamino can just kind of sit up there, put down some damage. As now we're going to go over to the hazard.
That is okay. That bio, that nade lineup is kind of nice from Squid. Damn, Squid's nerdy. I'm kind of here for that. Rad now have the ability, of course, to do more about the high ground, right? At least give themselves some flexibility, but geez, Hazard is so execution dependent. You know, that Rad really need to find a way now to allow Chronic to overcome a distinct range disadvantage that he has against the Sojourn. They obviously can't play just out in the open and wait to die. We agree with them on that, but that's exactly what we're seeing here because Painkiller doesn't have anywhere to really go.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you would want to see them play like Torb Sombra, right? Ramatra Torb Sombra, maybe get on the point, play a little bit slower, right? See if you can take advantage of that ball. But Mitch, we're gonna have a point go by where like Rad has to make so many changes. They're like not even gonna get to half of their ults.
Yeah, I mean, again, they just couldn't quite settle on a comp that has suited them here, and they might get a touch, but it's going to be tough to do more than that. Zeus is able to get an orbital ray going, but they will be forced to pay with their life as a result of that. Painkiller doesn't last much longer either. The bio nades here are devastating. Like, Ramatra Power Block doesn't do anything to a bio when you're hit by that. And the blade from King shut down by Chopper, who barely breaks in stride, by the way. Not even a sweat broken. Timeless break a chair over Rad's head in the first map.
That was a stomping there. We were like, oh, can Rad kind of bounce back maybe after last week? That is not a good omen for them. Map number 1. The positive would be is they have a opportunity to get rid of the ball, right? With a ban. They don't exactly use a ban on the ball in map number 1. They use it on the Winston. But it feels like even if they win and get past that, you're just going to see the ball pop up yet again.
There are some, and what we're seeing in some situations, there are teams that are walking in to some maps, probably saying, against this roster, the bans don't actually matter very much. Because there are either like not enough comps that we can really find success on, or there are too many that our opponents can. So, you know, sometimes it's like, all right, we have a comp. What are the things that like are inherently good against us? Let's get rid of those. Like obviously Ramatra doesn't like playing against Winston, right? Because he can't do a whole lot. Like he tries to turn around, like fight Winston. And like Winston just waits for the, you know, the Nemesis form cooldowns to be sort of not available, and then they just sort of go for it. So I get that. I'm happy to see the pick and ban used to try and make your preferred comp less fallible. That's fine. Unfortunately, it's just not enough. They just play ball on this map. Maybe if we end up, you know, getting Volcano, then Riker's in a position where like, oh, I've got to play Orisa. Oh God, like he probably
Maga
like he did on the first round, and he still looked very good there.
Yeah, I mean, they even tried like a Rad, tried a Sigma at the start, right? Try and play a little bit slower with no Lucio, with the Sigma, with the BAP and the Brig. And I mean, they just kind of got picked apart, it felt like, over time by whether it be the Ana or the Sojourn at range, and then the Ramatra once you get past the Sigma shield. So we'll see what Rad decides to do. Let's see, if you were going to get ball out, right, what map would you go to?
You don't want to play against Wrecking Ball, you're saying?
So I actually think potentially if you pick Dorado, I don't think they maybe play the ball.
Okay.
I think if you pick Dorado, there's a world in which like Riker plays like a, you know, a Winston Diva or something along those lines and doesn't play the ball. Yeah.
This isn't TL.
Yeah.
So, but did we not see this? Didn't Riker play a really nice Diva on Dorado?
Yes, we did see that. But you'll take those chances, right? I mean,
sure.
So it's Root. So Root's a map that we've seen teams play the ball on, but also not like amazing, you know, kind of routes for the ball here.
Yes.
I wonder if they ban it.
We've seen Bumper play ball on this. Oh no, wait, it was Amon play the Reinhardt.
Bumper. Oh man. I mean, okay, that's a.
But I want to say my point is that way back when the Chengdu Hunters were a team that played a lot of Wrecking Ball, and Route 66 was like one of the only maps ever that they got Amon to switch and play Ryan.
No subs for either team. So roster's going to stay the same here going into map number 2. Potentially, so it'll be Rad Esports who bans Kiriko to kick things off. And then Timeless actually will ban Hazard. So we saw them play Hazard a little bit towards the end of Samoa. The Kiri is interesting, right? Because we did see that Timeless was playing on a Kiri in the backline, but this, like, you know, obviously like Lucio in the mix, Juno as well, like you could even see, like, could you play like some of the Ana Zen stuff that you see on like Havana, right? Potential. And then the Hazard
on
ban.
Defense, honestly, you could. Yeah. Is this a team that is experimenting with the Zen at the moment? There are only a couple, I feel like, that are in.
Only a few.
Like maybe like Space Station. You could also, on defense, you could play like Ana Juno, I suspect. You know, at least initially, but you'd have to switch after Genji, probably after the first fight, taxi back in. So, okay, fair enough. This is a rad pick. Route 66 also about where you can play the Diva quite reasonably, actually. She's pretty good. Like these are, we're talking like the gaps are pretty mid-range in sort of the first and
well, with Hazard gone, right? With Hazard gone, so then you're looking at for Rad, like, do you play Winston, right? If you play Diva, pretty good into that. I mean, you're in a little bit of a weird spot, right? Because Hazard's pretty decent against Diva.
Brig, Winston?
Yeah. So definitely a little bit of a curveball there for Rad Esports, probably, as Rad, it looks like they're going to play the Sigma on D, so they will play Zen. So I was going to say, like, you can play Zen. Here we see it on Havana as well. But doesn't this feel like the ball just, like, displaces all these people from the high ground? Or, like, you can play Diva, like... It feels like there's options against this. Like, Havana,
I don't know, like,
Havana is way longer, right?
Correct. Rad obviously, you know, I don't know how far forward they're going to play. Do they try and take an early straightaway? I think they probably don't, because this comp doesn't necessarily have the ability to like reposition that well, right? It's really only Z's that can actually, or maybe Chronic with the Coach Garden that can get them back in position. So they're not going to fully try and like take a fight up close. You can see where the Sigma's playing from, right? They're really just playing for big Earls here.
Yeah, so the negative here for Brad, right, is if this gets broken, you're looking at like a 1 or 2 fight. I mean, really, like almost like a 1 fight scenario, right? As Riker sees what they're playing on the other side, and he goes right away to the ball. So you're going to be able to displace some of these players up on the high ground. Has to be really careful, though. You see taking that side damage from the Torb turret, and then also getting hit with that Discord right away.
Now, remember, Discord all falls off after you LOS the Zen for long enough. Something the ball can do pretty well. But, I mean, this comp is strong. This is a very powerful setup for this kind of map. Timeless Yeah, definitely have to consider, like, I think the dig would have been terrible for them here. So
yeah,
I think the ball's correct, and they are on this Ana and Juno comp that I suspected we might see.
Oh, this Rocket's really far behind. I was like, where did he end up? So,
I mean, there are no duplicated heroes here. This is great.
Yeah, potentially you're looking at like a collapse on the high ground there. Pain, it is going to be Riker going in with a pile driver. Rocket's still there, lurking behind them.
Okay. A little bit low. They're still going to have to take that health pack. Riker thinks for a second there might be a chance to go after Lep here, but a lot of disruption on the back line. It's not particularly mobile. Oh, the pile driver! Oh, that's so good! Surely Z's was hoping to save themselves there with an immortality field as well. But they get knocked up, so I think they might even have been out of the radius of it anyway. That was beautiful. Riker sees the Baptiste coming. Oh.
All it takes is one moment of displacement, right? The ball rolls on through, knocks players in or out of the immortality field. Everybody's knocking everywhere. There's no Curie, right? So no cleanse for the bio grenades that come on through from, this time it's Lucamina. The last one, it was Squid. Now set up here for Timeless. Potentially just get that first cap off of this.
Painkiller's trying to...
that bio's insane.
Yeah. Immortality field there being used so early is pretty painful, and Painkiller's gone down.
I mean,
Rad had no choice but to send the Sigma forward there to try and get a stop. Everyone else was too low under the immo.
And that's the Matrix used there as well, so you really, you're going to push forward 6 shots here. But like, what do you, I mean, you're going to stop them from moving it, I guess, through the door, right? But everybody's going to be back here in a second.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't seen utter garbage time, which is a shame because that was absolutely filthy. Nice little cast.
Hey, you know what though? Take the clip, just like remove the scoreboard and use it for the montage. Why not?
Just crop the screen.
Yeah, just crop it.
You know,
just like a little zoom 360, like color distortions, big music over the top. You'll be fine.
Riker the tree frog, and we go. Adaptive barrier gives him a decent amount of health, but he might still die here. Has a ton of damage. Left now on the Lucio, so it's a Baptiste Lucio composition. Zen no longer an option, which now means Riker would have probably died there were there Zen in play, but hey, let's get on with the show. Z's passionately hammered, chopped from the high ground, cannot really be dealt with here. As Rad Esports' composition, again, cannot reposition well at all. Once they get shaken from their perch, they're in a much weaker position than they were earlier. You see how Time is trying to run Painkiller over before the second part of that flux goes off, and they don't quite get there. But the Molten Core doesn't really line up with it for King. It is on the wrong side of that card, and this comp for Rad now looks demonstrably weaker.
You see though why we talk about how there's not really a great counter for that ball with the Riker going in early on as Lep will end up falling. He's the one who's going to contest. When Riker was up on that high ground over by like that bridge where you kind of come out of that door, he got hit with a mag grenade. He took like an accretion, tons of damage, the torb there, whatever, and he's just still able to live. Like he just rolls away. I mean, that's insane. Yep. And now you kind of go here towards the last part of the map. Changes here for Rad Esports. So they will go Sombra Genji here. So Sombra Genji with a D.Va in the mix. So D.Va able to help the backline a little bit more.
Luke hacks here. But no big deal. All the way is going to come down for Squid. Time is not going to stop here. This is a very comfortable walk-through fight win. Rad have to know it after making these wholesale switches to their comp. They just don't really have any equity in ult charge. The next one, maybe. It's going to be a beat that saves the round for them, I think. Time must have an immense time bank to work with.
I mean, dude, Lethal might be right in his, like, opinion on the ball column, that it's, like, it's great for teams who can kind of, like, coordinate, front and back line. But, man, it still looks good. I don't know, man.
We don't know. There's no way we're going to tell if he's right. Because I think it's one thing when it's like a quote-unquote team that are using it as a crutch, and there's another team that's like an already good team using it, making use of their very good communication line, which you probably assume Liquid and Timeless have. So I don't know how relevant it is here. It's good bands, though. I do approve.
Yes, these comms just look so filthy. I mean, maybe there's a world in which Rad gets a hold here, but it just feels like inevitable that Timeless is going to be able to break this.
Although, Rad have been able to stave them off without spending their support ultimates until now. I would say that the Nano Genji is a bit superfluous here, but it's important that they've been able to hold on to Lep's ultimate, build close to a blade for King.
Yeah.
Rocket, though, is going to have an Nanoblade next fight, so you are holding onto this beat for it. Lepers honestly got a lot of experience at the top level, although never really getting the run with the Outlaws that they would have liked. Again, they're going to know better than to spend this ultimate early.
Yeah, but it looks like Timeless just kind of banking up for one massive, battle here, right? As we see Chronic actually use the Translocator, get back out to the rest of the team. Oh, they actually used the beat here, and it's actually just like Rocket going to the high ground and may have actually just got the beat out. So that's going to be the sound barrier gone. Riker also with the minefield for Timeless. That'll go. So Rad is actually starting to put together a pretty good hold here on D. This next fight, though, Mitch, is going to be massive for them.
I love the DB here. She can really be everywhere.
Yeah. Really good at like guarding the back line, can be quite aggressive. Yeah, that's going to have him off the ball.
Riker on the Ramatra here. Rad have got everything, though. I mean, there's no reason why they can't stop Timeless. This might be it. This might be where they've been able to find the edge. I think the comp switch after getting off the poke comp is quite good. Painkiller's shown that like when it's on like a Queen or a Diva, they've got a lot of flexibility as an individual. Can we get the Juno though here? That's the question. Chronic looking for Squid, and yep, they'll have them. Z's very far forward. That's Ana, I guess. You just don't have any choice. Your team's left you as they've gone to dive on in. A D-suit here for Painkiller now. A quick self-destruct to get them back there, and King has bought some time by dealing with Rocket. So Radic here virtually at full strength with Z's close to being off respawn, and Timeless are running out of it.
Yeah, this has been really good here for Rad as the switch to the Diva has definitely been highly impactful. Now Rocket's going to move away from Genji and go to Mei, right? So not able to make a play for the backline, constantly dealing with like these hacks, right? So Mei can play a little bit more on the ground here with the Ramatra.
Who are you catching with this?
I mean,
the wall definitely isn't the game plan. There's no way that's possible. Nano here for King.
It's going to be tough to catch just about anybody, right? I mean,
exactly.
The Nano up on the high ground here for King. I mean, look at these two players split off.
And they're taking their time now. Rad Esports have been able to really slow this game down to a halt. This is nice for Rad. I'm liking it. Look, slept up. Dealt with very quickly, and Timeless have, lost like 4 fights in a row. Great adaptation here for Rad Esports. I think the Sombra has been a real pain for Timeless to deal with in general on this part of the map, and they prevent a map completion.
And can they create something like this on offense for Rad, right? Like if Timeless comes out and plays the ball, right? Can they actually use this Sombra and Diva and some of the other heroes to gain an advantage just like this, right? Although, does this actually tell Timeless, like, hey, maybe we don't play the ball off the rip here, right? Maybe we go with something that's Ramatra based, Sigma based, that kind of can maybe deal with that Sombra a bit better.
And again, like for Timeless, it's a question of, right, we don't like that comp very much. However, is that something we're going to have to worry about running into now that we're on defense? We can go back to the first part of the map. Maybe they do want to play like a ball style defense, which would be odd to me. I think the Diva makes a lot of sense. They brought it out for us on Dorado. It looked very, very good. They never really felt like they were under a ton of pressure. Baptiste with this. To me is a bit more interesting. It means that the Squid is probably, I mean, Riker will just return to the perch for healing. It definitely means that they are investing in like having a really strong high ground position on top of Big Earls. And the Torb will play an off angle there with the turret.
Yes, I think that the BAP is an interesting selection. Also, BAP is great like when you want to control some of the high ground and just kind of stand and brawl on that space. But I also think Rad Esports, like, they haven't really shown us like a willingness to dive per se, right? I know they played the Diva there towards the end, but it seems like at least thus far they've been sticking way more towards like Sigma, like slower base comps.
Could we just be trying to outpoke this comp? Rad. Okay, so there's going to be a Torb here for Timeless. I like that the Sim TP is going to be there. This will allow like Rad on a dime to sort of go aggressive, and the Lucio switch up here as well means that they have that option as well just to change the pace. Riker holds his corner, but you see how quickly, Diva just gets absolutely brutalized there. And Painkiller gets to take space because all of his cooldowns are in order to do that. Lep picked off that, a little bit of a shooter. I like to see that. TP ultimately not going to be the answer for Rad.
The Sim is pretty good against the Diva, right? But you're not going to just sit here at the choke and just fight the Diva. I mean, that would just be a complete waste of your time. Lep actually goes to Zen here, Mitch. So the Zen on offense, I think the Zen on offense could be quite effective, right? No speed or kind of collapse from the Timeless side in the game. The Diva's not really going to kind of dive past this Sigma shield a whole ton.
It means if you hit an accretion on the Diva, it's an instant D-mech, essentially, if this comp works well for you. So you saw Riker barely got away before last time they ate a rock. This time it's a mega dangerous for them. And so that'll change the way that they play. But again, a real poke element to this team, and Luke can also just do a lot of this fighting on his own. Great work there. And Chronic also falling. But Luke sets it up beautifully now and sets a position that's just you can't even poke into. So 90 minutes shaved off the clock here. Rad have a amp matrix of their own, but there are lots of places for timers to fall back to.
Yeah, and with this slow of a comp for Rad, it's really difficult to kind of take control over Big Earls, right? We've seen teams that have run something like this slow, right? Almost like get under Big Earls, right? You see like kind of where the TP puts Painkiller, but like get a few players inside of there, right? So like breaks LOS, you move the cart, and you're in a better spot. It's going to be an Amp Matrix here. It's just going to force Timeless back. So Z's Amp Matrix is going to gain them some space.
Oh, at Array though, they're going to fight into this. Matrix has just gone down and well, it's going to be tough to play inside of it. Nicely done. Yeah, great land. Luke on the BAP is kind of clean with it, I'm not going to lie. Even if the Orbit Array passed Timeless by, they still had the drone to rely on. Still, Chopper needs to get to a safe distance now. Chronic does have Bob in play, and he's going to make it a little bit hard to play past this corner. Riker trying to be tentative about it, but eventually you have to stand your ground. And as Chopper sends in these virtually vertical headshots with the railguns, and he'll wait out the kinetic grass to throw a really nasty disrupt shot down into the bottom of Big L's as well. This one, here he comes. That's very annoying to deal with. Now Rad are having that space taken away from them by force. And hey, almost a minute left in the round. Timeless might not have to worry about that last phase.
Right, with just kills coming in late here. Painkiller now going to go over to Diva. So this is looking a little bit more representative of what they ran towards the end of the map. So King still staying on the sim because you want this barrier, right? You've kind of worked all game for it at this point. May as well get some value out of it.
All right, King, they're going to set up here. Painkiller switching now off the Sigma. The Sigma was a questionable one as well, I'm not going to lie. Transcendence makes this a little tricky for Timers to challenge, but Riker can contest from that corner. So, Amp Matrix in play, a lot of extra healing, and now Rad have split themselves up voluntarily. They are playing from the defender side spawn. That disruptor shot did get actually stopped halfway through. Painkiller may not have done it intentionally, but that would have been pretty bad for Rad have they have that disruptor go into the tunnel itself. Carters? Any touches? Anybody?
I mean, there's an Amp Matrix like in that doorway, so maybe they don't want to like try and get on there and play from that position, but that actually even felt like a fight that Timeless could still win, right? I mean, they split up the supports and the tanks so much. It's just a really brutal spot to play from. They don't end up taking the fight. They end up giving up that point, and now more progress to Rad.
So Diva mirroring out. Very different backlines. Luke is... I really like what we're seeing from the Baptiste, but I mean, he is definitely a less beloved option for our pro players as of lately. A couple of mortality fields, though, have been pretty convincing. Hack on Riker is very annoying. Squid is going for an orbital rain now. King, a little bit of extra damage will get them there, but they have to deflect. Good disengage from Rad. But they split themselves up in doing so, so a stagger is still possible. But Chronic's able to find Rocket at least. So only 1-for-1. Painkiller might just be able to trundle away from this. And that could have been much worse for Rad.
Well, the BAP also kind of loses out when we see Hazard in the game, right? Like Hazard really good at just kind of jumping onto the BAP. Giving him a lot of trouble up close. Is Riker getting really low? He's hacked up top. They're going to be able to kind of heal him back up. Luke Amino working up towards an Amp Matrix.
Okay, here's Chopper. Decent vantage point for this, but a lot of early warning for Rad. They blot out the sun with arrows. They're fighting the shade is the plan for Rad Esports. Chronic also with an EMP, so definitely hoping to bait an engagement onto the card itself, or just, threaten a back cap here. They can start to push it, surely. Z's out of the fight. Not ideal for Painkiller, who probably realizes that there's not enough healing throughput for the Diva to stay alive. So they take the kill on Chopper and get out.
Is there a good moment for Rad here, potentially with this EMP, right? They've been holding on to it a little bit long now, kind of searching for maybe the best possible moment here, right? You're gonna feel like it's absolutely necessary, right? Nano plus EMP, maybe the Nano goes over to the Genji. You're gonna get this blade as Luke Amino playing very close to the edge there, almost dies.
Riker, the goat, somehow Luke's alive. Come on, look at what it cost them. Everything to get the BAP, and they lose King for it. who dies in the most ignoble way possible to that Torb turret.
That EMP
Still,
hit him?
EMP ends up coming out, Matt.
I don't know if it, like what it hit. It may have ended up just taking out Squid, right? But you're gonna be able to get both supports back in the action rather quick here for Timeless, and you are just and that's gonna be the they're gonna have a mech back, right? You're gonna get a self-destruct back here. You're gonna be able to get back in mech, but you're putting a lot of pressure on this King Blade now.
Burning the D.Va ult there though is pretty massive. It doesn't cost Rad Esports. They're still gonna have Painkiller in the fight, but it still hurts. No nano for this Blade. King has got it all laid out before him. He's at the war table, and he knows a Blade is their only chance for Rad to advance in this game. Here we go. Looking for the Torb, who, by the way, is overloaded. That's pretty scary. Squid, chased down, can't get the health back, so King will leave with 1. Now, though, very much out of the action, but so too is Riker. That card is getting close, and Rocket has been the only one stalling things out right now. There's got to be some touches getting involved. Please. Here's Riker. Okay, they get there, but I must say that Blade might have done the job, Matt. It might have been enough.
Well, can Squid get back here and end up using an orbital, right? That would be the biggest difference here, right? Is Riker really low. They're just trying to have him stay alive. They actually do end up using the orbital.
But D.Va gets desuited and there's a bio that shuts it down instantly. Rocket still alive somehow, but then hacked. And we are headed to the last phase of the map. This is oh so winnable for Rad Esports, folks. Best chance they've had in a number of games, in fact, to take this map.
Yeah, so now we get to the final stage. You see that box of victory there for Rad Esports. A real opportunity to make it happen is actually we're going to see Thomas go to Malga here. So just going to try and put maybe some pressure onto Lep and Z's and see if you can just kind of circumvent this D.Va, right? Make it very difficult for the D.Va to have an impact. As oh, look at this. They've actually kind of flipped sides on the map, Mitch.
Molten Core here, though. So where do Rad fall back to? Enemy territory? Seems scary. Z's might be in trouble here. Oh, the sleep hit! Oh, that's nice! Rocket goes down. Choppy with the Molten Core. But again, we're not in overtime, so this just buys some time. And Timeless are in front of the enemy spawn still, so there is that. And, well, Rocket comes back in with a Pulse Bomb at least, and they'll be there fairly fast. Lep is tanking the turret right now and can heal through much of that, of course, just passively, so not the end of the world. Riker is on the Malga, though. A little bit scary, I think, for Painkiller to stand and fight, but there are ways around this. Multiple ways, in fact, to skin a cat. And Rocket still has that pulse coming off spawn with a vengeance. It was Chopper to find 2. The Tor play now. Something that Rad are going to have to deal with. And Painkiller here with a remake, maybe
he's going to
might have been better head back to spawn.
I mean, I don't know. I think you would have been coming up very late. I don't know if you would have gotten like a great touch here. Yeah, it would have been extremely close. So Chronic actually gets detected there. a prediction pulse bomb there from Rocket.
So I appreciate it. That just seems a bit wild. Luke caught by the beat. Oh no, no chance for it. Caught inside the EMP. Squid also was affected by it. I think Chronic might have paved the way here for Rad Esports. That is ridiculous. There's a nano here for Z's. Luke off spawn. There will be time for Timeless to regroup as long as there are no further staggers, but it's getting dicey.
No, I think Timeless is going to be able to contest this pretty much with everybody alive. And they're going to have Orbital Ray plus Sound Barrier. So it's going to be the Sound Barrier that opens things up out of the spawn with everybody up.
Blade for King. Orbital Ray not available. Squid is able to get it off just in time. King then stunned up. Looks like they were knocked by a stomp by Riker, but they still got rid of Chopper. Orbital Ray not really that effective. Rocket the only one able to play inside of it. Now it's going to be a cage fight to catch them up. But King happy to fight here. Surely will be dragged down. It's Lep. Can't stand. Can't hang. Timeless. Come out with both support ultimates in a cage fight. And it's a close map. Much more engaged we've seen all day. Still Timeless dub.
The Sombra really impactful though. We saw Chronic make some really nice plays built around that EMP. It forced a lot of swaps out of Timeless. I would not be surprised if we see Timeless try and get that hero out of the game. The Sombra seems to be pretty annoying for them to deal with.
Yeah, it must feel pretty good though, Matt, heading into a decider map with the opportunity to still ban Sombra in this series. I think that's got to feel pretty good. However, it does of course mean that the crew on Rad Esports can choose another map. But how many more maps that are hostile to ball mostly?
Well, especially if you see a Sombra ban on the other side, right? Like what have been the bans so far here for Timeless? So it's been Hazard and Lucio, right? So you can definitely get the Sombra out of the way. There isn't, I mean, do you get rid of Ball potentially? Like if you are Rad Esports, right? Depending on where you go. I just think there's some pretty good options here for Timeless.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think like the map choice here might not be as relevant because I actually don't know if there are many categories left where like with like bad Wrecking Ball maps. I think this is definitely a map where we saw Riker have some trouble. I like the D.Va. Honestly, like I thought Painkiller been one of their best looks for sure. The D.Va Sombra comp with the Ana Z's on the Ana hit some really nice sleeves, like the one on Rocket where they are trying to 1v1 the Ana. So it's a much better game from Rad. Look at this. I mean, Rad actually have a better KD at the end of it. It's not a stat that tells the whole story because the game was so close that it was a 3-death affair that separated these two. Great to see some competitive Overwatch, and this is what I was hoping from Rad at the start of Stage 1.
Yeah, this is the Rad that we thought would be around more often, right? It's just they end up looking pretty bad last week. I think they've played pretty competitive here. It'll be Eichenwald coming up next year for Rad Esports. That'll be their pick. No subs for either team. What do you ban if you're Rad here, right? Is there a good option? They've banned
Ana?
They banned the Kiri so far, and then they've also banned I don't have the second ban for the series, but I mean, do you get rid of Ana? I mean, that could be a little bit annoying, right? But then do they just play like Lucio Kiri, right?
Maybe. Lucio Kiri with the ball is probably fine. If there's no Sombra to contend with, you probably still feel good about that.
So it's the Winston and the Lucio for map number 1. Those were the two bans, but the Rad ban was the Winston. So Winston and Kiri gone here for Rad in our first 2 maps.
We're waiting on bans, folks. That's why they're not populated yet.
So maybe you could ban Ana. I mean, that still leaves open like Lucio, Lucio Juno. I mean, a bunch of like nothing. I think almost like those bans like end up like in a way like limiting Rad in some aspects, but we'll see. I mean, this is the part that's pretty awesome about this system, right? There's so many different kind of questions and turns that it can go in what you want to play. I feel like for Timeless, right? If they go with a support or a tank, like it feels like the Sombra is pretty much like a layup, right?
Yes,
I you don't want to play Sombra.
100%.
Like
also,
Sombra.
Do Rad have a ball ban left?
Yes.
I do. Oh, I think you might just do that here, right?
Just to be safe.
Yeah. So Sombra ball. Right. Yeah. Here we are. Sombra ball are the bans. So. No surprise, you don't want to deal with that. This also opens things up for D.Va as well, to be a little bit less harassed over the course of the map. Yeah, without the Wrecking Ball available, Timeless have to go to something else. Now, they might not be quite the same level of unhinged as Liquid in terms of playing ball here. Yeah, who really knows? But ton of other comps here. We see a lot of Orisa on this map from teams that don't want to play the fruitier stuff. Malga at times has also been pretty reasonable. Again, like a lot of those brawl comps, I think have plenty of value. We definitely see Ramatra look very good in that last phase, the more claustrophobic part of the map. But tons of options. Riker on the Ramatra, and it will be the Torb in the backline. Torb has just he's looked ridiculously good.
He
just the base stats on that guy, just something else.
I mean, some of his perks are quite, getting that level 3 turret back. I mean, that is going to be spicy. Or even like. They kind of talked about it like a little bit cheeky, right? Where you could throw the turrets on like walls and different things. Like those are going to create so many weird angles, right? That you're going to have to just kind of deal with and adjust, like turrets above doorways and things. Like, oh, it's going to be nasty. So he might even get up a little stronger.
Okay, Rad Esports cutting it pretty close to giving us a map win in that previous Route 66 outing, but it was not to be, unfortunately. So now to avert another sweep.
Cutting it close.
With Timeless on the Ramatra comp. It's going to be mirrored in Chronic. I like this against the Ramatra Brawl style. It's going to be pretty annoying for the Genji.
Cutting it close to getting a map win. But, so it is annoying for the Genji, but you can make an argument that like the Torb is more annoying, right? And like Torb you can kind of play in like a cast, right? Like it's obviously you don't have like the CC, but just the constant poke and off angling from the turret is just really annoying for even Genji to deal with. There's a rocket there, just some poke damage going down on a Chronic, and they finish him off.
That's not great for Rad. Again, I guess it could be hard to maneuver this comp safely into position, but what we saw from Chronic on Route 66, that brief outing on Cassidy, and also what we've seen from their Widow, I'm very excited to see him on this sort of hard hit scan. And honestly, it should be good here. There's should be plenty to sort of defend or back up this Cassidy. A lot of speed here for Rad as well, between Lucio and Juno. And the Torp turret has been dealt with. So in theory, the way has been paved to go on in. Here's the hindrance. Rocket. Doesn't care. He doesn't care.
I mean, they just go right. Whenever they see Chronic, they just beeline to him. I mean, Rocket just gets right in his face, and there's nothing that, like, really Chronic can do. I mean, you know, even with the mag, right, you had to have the Juno damage, like the Riker on the Ramattra's kind of getting in your face. So Cassie, the one thing he doesn't have is like mobility, right? Where like, okay, like Sojourn, for instance, right? If you were to swap them in here, like if you get collapsed on, you just kind of like slide and dash away, right? And you create more space. Cassie does not have that option, has to fight.
We're down to 2 minutes here. 2 unsuccessful pushes, 2 situations in which Chronic just gets dived early. So desperately, Rad are trying to keep Chronic out of the sunlight here. And here comes the push. Kitsune Rush is going to set them up. And Chronic dies first. Who would have thunk it? Now we're really starting to see the weaknesses of Cassidy played out in real time. This isn't even a dive comp. It's a hard brawl setup, but one roll is not enough to get you out of the fray, apparently.
But even Torb, right, could stand the air like with you know, the overload and fight a bit, right? Gains a lot of that health, you know, fire rates, right, makes it a lot scarier. Cassie just seems they obviously, like, the CC is like great and like the slow, but the trade-off in terms of like no movement capabilities really, like whatsoever, like no significant ones, it doesn't seem to be a worthwhile trade.
Okay, orbital up here for Randa, Molten Core, for Timus. It lets him take a lot of this space again, but I don't turn it into an angle that yields a pick. So back to the drawing board again. Double annihilation here, orbital ray for both sides. In theory, Rad have the critical mass of ultimates. Rocket, can he find a pick early though? King tries to chase him up there, and okay, Rocket says, brilliant. We got a beat. That is nice. Squid, though, is dead. Orbital ray was used, and okay, things don't quite turn out to plan here for Timeless, as Riker is left out in the open with a Maelstrom that is just not set up to get any kills. Getting out alive here is the next order of business, and so far Riker has been able to slink away.
Yeah, Rad also uses the orbital ray, right? So it's a sound barrier in response to Rocket's blade. Timeless starts to back up. I believe they also lose Squid during the start of that, but then it's the orbital ray from Z's that they kind of use to move in behind, and they're able to at least get that first checkpoint. So we'll see them back up. Need to get this door open, right? We see a lot of teams decide to play really close. As look at that Riker even kind of pushing in around here.
Yeah, King also struggling with this poke damage coming in from either doorway here, and okay, we're taking a fight. Timeless really want to try and spawn camp Rad to some degree, and I like that Suzu. The damage coming back from Rad was pretty reasonable there. Annihilation, though, that might be an issue. Blade also teased out of Rad. So the war chest of ultimates they try and walk into this second phase of the map with, they are forced to part with now as Timeless at least trying to negotiate from a position of power.
That's nice help from left there, able to get that kill onto Rocket, keeping King up as King and Co now trying to fight for this high ground control. But yeah, that's a lot of ultimates used there just to basically get the gate open and get around that first corner, right?
It's not a problem though if Rad can use this bridge though to have another good start to the fight, right? Then like they've spent their ultimates for map control and given themselves some proper meterage, but Painkiller eventually has to give it up.
Yeah, he's just been pushed off the high ground by Rocket as well, right? Rocket just gets right past the Ramatra shield, get in his face, put down some damage with the Shurikens, and then just kind of chase him around the map, right? So they end up losing that high ground control. They lose Painkiller here in the end. So even though you use all these ults, you got a little bit of meterage around the corner to show for it. Not significant.
Okay. Chronic still hoping to make this Cassidy work. I think this is a better strategy when you just storm the castle. Might be the plan here. Definitely feels like Timeless are aware of it. They want that high ground, but they're ready to pivot into a pitched battle on top of the ramparts should they be required. Lep's going to nudge the cart forward, and Riker has dropped down now. Yeah, Timeless a pretty solid defensive hold. Don't have like full top castle control, but I don't see how this Deadeye is supposed to achieve anything.
It's going to get them onto the bridge. So it's just giving them like space here to kind of get that cart moving. This is going to be Squid using the orbital ray, and it's like when the orbital ray they use, it's like Rad rotating all the way around, so not going to get much value out of it.
Orbital's going to be waited out. Now the Annihilation comes in. and it's gonna just go for its max duration here. Sound barrier used isn't enough. Honestly, it's pretty good against this. Kitsune Rush here for Lucamino. Chopper needs to be kept alive, but Riker is doing a lot of work. Elsewhere on the cart, there's still the issue of Painkiller, though. And I think they, on their own, are going to be enough to force everyone else back. Squid might get a health pack up there. No. Lucamino also going to fall here. And Rad at least have a shot at the last phase of the map.
They do, and it's going to be this annihilation from Painkiller that would be the ultimate that would get them over the line. Potentially they're going to have Blade as well, but Rocket's going to come flying out of spawn, man. Here, he's got that Blade in hand, no sound barrier on the other side. It's got to be huge here for Timeless.
King, though, close to one of his own. So it's far from a guaranteed thing here for Timeless. Oh, wait a minute. Chopper
on the flank.
Big flank angle, but there's got to be touches here. That's the only thing. Riker's got to be aware of this. Rocket's Blade doesn't get much.
Left's on the side.
What? I don't know what happened there. Who knows? Squid's going to take Z's down, though, and I think it's only Rocket who can stall this out. Luke's going to be too late to the party, and hard to really know if Chopper got done what he was hoping to with that very long flank. Rad, though, have the Blade. They have the Annihilation. And they get that last phase of the map opened up.
Yeah, it did get a little bit scary, though. But now that you got this last part of the map, it can be very difficult to get here just in general. So Rad giving themselves a chance to potentially force a fourth map in the set would be pretty bad here for Timeless's just kind of overall standings and map count. Riker will go over and play Sigma here. So get a Sigma versus a Reese. Oh my, I mean, there's just goodbye Painkiller. I mean, they walk up, they hit him with an accretion, he gets shot in the head, and goodbye. I mean,
I really hope that they use this straight away now with this Sigma comp, because this is sneakily one of the best parts of the map to have a poke.
Yeah.
All right, they will, but there's enough mitigating. Yeah, I mean, Painkiller's able to step up here, switch off to the Orisa on the Ramatra now. Very much more reasonable of a pick. Orisa look great here if she's not utterly counted out with the loss of space. So, okay, Lucamino's going to pop this Kitsune Rush now. Painkiller got knocked to the ground briefly by an accretion, but they're very quick to get back into the fight, especially behind the orbital ray of Rad. Timers, though, stepped back, and Riker got a lot of value off of that kinetic grasp. The Kitsune Rush, though, is what makes Rad turn tail and back up. They've got a overclock here for Chronic, excuse me.
Yeah, so actually the orbital ray that forces them to back up as Squid ends up popping and they lose Lucamino.
Chronic looking for more. Just Lucamino falling so far for Timers, but Riker is really struggling to stay in the fight. Chopper's found one, though. This time it didn't take a crazy wide flank. So Timers have a chance to regroup, and they'll have a spawn advantage now against Rad, who are only working with 4 players. And back they're going to be forced. This all hinges on Painkiller building an annihilation before they end up going down. And the beat is going to allow for this. That's perfect timing there for Lep to find a sound barrier. Painkiller goes for the annihilation, but they're getting a lot of damage thrown at them from the periphery of this fight. Stay alive a long time, but it might still not be enough. Chopper finds 2 there with that overclock, and Zeus is going to be punching him out.
Yeah, they keep Riker alive enough for long there. Lucamino on the side angle on the Kiri, just kind of pumping healing into him, just keeping him up for as long as possible. As it's not pretty, but right there at the end, Timeless does get their hold before a map completion.
And honestly, that was a dicey one because Rad have a sound barrier that buys them time into an annihilation. You think they do pretty well there. A lot of it hinges on Chopper just having a large amount of damage off to the sides of that fight and bringing Painkiller down very quickly.
So we'll see what Timeless has here on offense, right? They put together a really good first point defense. Does not seem like Rad really wants to go and try and play, I know, maybe like a Torbjorn type of setup. Okay, so it's actually Torb plus Cassidy. So this is kind of like dive, flanker aggression as you can get currently.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, Timeless, though, they've shown they're happy to play like that brawl style. Accessing Chronic was easy for them when they were defending. Now, though, he might be a little bit harder to reach the Cassidy, especially if he's protected in a sort of a safe pocket. Squid on the Mercy, that would be quite a thing.
I don't think the Maga necessarily cares about this, though, right? Like if Maga just charges in, I don't think he necessarily cares about obviously the slow from the mag grenade when he's charging doesn't matter at all, right? So
defend objective A.
Lucio Juno as well, so lots of speed.
Okay, here's Riker. Yep, here's that gap closed, and Painkiller took a lot of damage, but Chopper just somehow dying to the vortex that was set up behind Riker. Little awkward. Chronic with the space, and you can see what Cassidy can do. Riker trying to cost him, get up on him, but no. Not this time.
I wonder who put enough damage in to just take Chopper out right away with that Vortex, right? Just kind of comes around the corner. They want to use the speed to get out of the choke. And he just dies instantly from some of the damage there.
So again, this is a little scary. There are multiple layers of abstraction in Rad's comm. But again, as the attacker, you have the luxury of like just counter swapping, especially at your tank position, to find the advantage. This is another setup here that not only takes that space, but is much better at sort of damage and CC mitigation than Malga is. Okay, I don't know if Rocket would hit him there. I think he's trying to play towards the backline, but Torb is that strong. He just shuts the Genji down. Chopper though, showing us exactly why we're seeing so much of the blacksmith in our games. No lep here for Rad, but he's the one that would return to the fray quickest anyway.
Can you capitalize on this? It's like Chopper is still on another weird off angle, just like how he was in the Sojourn in the last round. Is Rocket now going to play Echo here, just put a little bit more damage down from the sky, just change the sight lines. Oh man, that time Lucamino got extremely low as he is somehow able to live.
Yeah, Chronic eventually falls as well, just got a little bit too close to that focusing being there. A pick you think probably wouldn't be great against the Torb Cassidy setup, but Rocket's Echo does give Timeless at least a foot in the door in his fight, and it gets flung wide open by Riker. And they will be taking this point only after about a couple of minutes here, so decent timing here for Timeless. Wonder how long they try and stick with the Orisa. It's fine, it's definitely serviceable when taking control of the castle.
I mean,
and also having a Terror Surge up the sleeve couldn't hurt.
I was going to say, you have 4 ults. There's no way you kind of switch off of this now, right? You at least give it another fight. As King now actually was going to match the Echo, but as soon as the Echo comes out, Rocket goes over to Tracer. So just kind of counter picking each other, it seems like, with these 2 DPS.
King with the objectively superior Echo skin.
That skin is kind of dope.
It is incredible. That whole battle pass was actually lit.
You're very easy
all the way
to
here
spot,
comes
though.
out sound barrier, so layering of support ultimates from both sides. What a big commitment this is. Rad clearly think it's so crucial to control this space, but a Terror Surge, they just get put into a blender.
Oh, that's a tough way to end up losing a fight, right? You end up committing just about everything into this one. You push on up. Nah, I mean, we're not seeing Light Weaver. Let's not get that crazy.
Getting excited.
Light Weaver's going to need 9 major perks to be able to be played. Need some help.
Hey, just keep getting stealth buffs every patch, and all of a sudden he will come out of nowhere, and Luke will be the first one.
If he could plant little trees, right? That if you don't destroy in like 15 seconds, spawns big trees, then maybe. But
my boy Rax got his ear to the ground.
True.
He'll know. All right, so Castle definitely obviously invested in here by Rad. They've got a relatively closer range hit scan element to their team. So this is a good way to take the fights, but they've kind of lost King, so the burst damage on someone like Riker is not really possible now. Looks like a Javelin connected with Chopper. He just overloaded in response, and okay, we get a turret for a Deadeye. And a reload, I guess. Not great. And also, how easy is it to heal Painkiller up there? Not very by the looks of things. Lep is trying to get to him, but Chronic is down. Again, first picked in this fight.
The entire time the payload's moving as well. Like they have somebody on the ground moving that payload. So as the high ground fight is commencing, and Timeless is just kind of pushing Rad further and further back, and then eventually off of it, Timeless is getting tons of payload progress, and now you're going to be around towards this bridge. I think if you're Rad, you just need to force them to use some ults here, right? You can't allow them to walk into the castle with double support ult towards the end. Chronic, you may only get one shot at that one. Swings and misses.
Oh, I liked it when it from Chronic. It's looked incredible, but geez, how do you make it work here? No choice now. Spawn's too far away. Chronic, you are stuck on this. And Rocket instantly blows up the Widow. Could have been a one clip for all we knew. Nice put torpedoes from a very safe vantage point. And a Torb turret set up there means Timeless, comfortable now into this last phase. 3 minutes 20 to work with. It's a lot of time. Both teams on the Orisa comps here. Probably not going to see any big switches outside of King going over to the Genji.
Yeah, we'll see if this we'll see if this gets a response out of Rocket. He's really kind of been the one that's made some changes here for Timeless, but don't necessarily think you need to. So I do have a Terror Surge available here for Painkiller. It's going to be one available for Riker as well. We'll see how they try to engage here. It looks like also you're just maybe building up this Riker Terror Surge. You're going to use this Molten Core in combination.
Painkiller just doesn't really seem to care. That Susie got used just to keep Luke alive. Oh, there was no escape. It gets pulled a little bit early, the Terror Surge, but Luke still got picked off by Lep after the fact. Painkiller, decent job there as well. Just throws up a javelin spin amidst the fight to break up some of the incidental projectiles that were coming through. Gotta be careful, gotta respect his Molten Core, but Chronic puts that one to an end pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's a downtown Molten Core there, and maybe Chopper's gonna think about switching here. As I just kind of chuck that Molten Core. That was a nice shot from Chronic, as yeah, Chopper will end up playing the Sojourn here. It's been a good hold for Rad Esports. They've wasted some time off the clock.
Chronic coming off the Widow now has found a new lease on life, apparently, and is collecting on those of Timeless. Orbital Ray here for Squid. It's going to have to be a sound barrier in response. Aziz also lays an Orbital Ray for Rad over that. Pulse, though, doesn't care about that healing over time, so Rocket finds a good window, but it's still a player advantage here for Rad. This defense is holding pretty well for our red side.
So, Rocket does put a lot of pressure down onto left there so that they do end up using both support ults at the same time. So maybe you have an advantage here for Timeless with this Kitsune rush that's coming on through. Although King does have a blade, so the blade is extremely impactful with no sound barrier on the other side.
See, this Kitsune goes down. Can he make good use of it? Riker had a massive Terror Surge to get through that choke at the start of the second phase of the map. That doesn't even seem to be necessary here. Just the raw power of that Kiriko ultimate sets up a comfortable fight win. Rad gets brushed aside. I guess the silver lining? Yeah, they can come back in with the Terror Surge of their own. King can look to blade this backline that doesn't have a support ultimate to inoculate them.
Yeah, I was gonna say King ends up, dying really early, but that allows him to end up holding on to the blade. So a minute to go. Even if you lose this fight for Timeless, if you lose it fast, you might have another.
Yeah. 50 seconds isn't bad, King. Oh, God, he's forced into a deflect early. The torpedoes could have been such a problem. Oh, Lep's caught inside the Terror Surge. That is brutal. No Lucio for you. Still, Timeless haven't quite gotten to the end yet. Gonna force the Lucio away. Painkiller just crumbles. King was forced into a deflate midair. Talk about being on the back foot. The most maladroit situation I've seen a defending team in today. And there's just nothing Rad can do about it. 9 maps of Overwatch, folks. Signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah, Timeless takes care of business, right? We talked about how all these teams up in that top 4 need to kind of keep pace in terms of map count. We saw a 3-0 earlier from Nightmare, 1 from Team Liquid. Timeless knew what they needed to do here against Rad Esports, facing probably the toughest of the opponents today, and they still come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, we expected this to go a 3-0 kind of way. However, I am honestly very impressed with Rad Esports. I wish we would have seen this type of Rad Esports earlier already, like last week. There were more winnable matches for them back then. Alas, it shall not be. However, I feel like they're starting to find their groove just in time for the meta to change next week, of course. So that's a little unluckers. Little unluckers indeed. Timeless, though, they were pushed. They were pushed out of their comfort zone. Riker had to switch off of that ball. There was a lot of pressure on them. We saw those changes coming out from Rad Esports. So overall, I think this was a very entertaining series, and the 3-0 score definitely does not tell you the whole story.
Rad Esports played much better than they did last week. Last week, they were not really that close. This week, though, they put up a pretty good fight against Timeless. But I think Timeless also just showed the potential of this team, right? Can play so many different things situationally, making the right calls. And then also just kind of like a little bit of a clutch factor always seems to kind of come through here for Timeless. So they look good. They kind of hold pace with everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of a couple of things on the Rad side. I like the Painkiller Diva. This cop looked really good. Obviously, this part of the map on 66 allows Sombra to hack down really easily, without any threat of punishment. And I do think that this could have been really competitive, if not for the one fight where Riker blows out Rad with that 3k Terror Surge. There's some genuine game to be had here. So it's not just one map where I think Rad put a good show on. It's these 2 consecutive maps, and I think that the pick and ban strategy for me seemed to make a lot of sense. Go to the decided map, ban the thing that's giving you the most trouble. You sort of ban the ball. They knew they'd be dealing with the Sombra, so I do think that in contrast to the previous game, it definitely seems like a much tighter strategy when it comes through from the pick and bans. And I think Rad did everything that they could to give themselves an edge out of game. I think that some things didn't quite go their way in these team fights, right? And some really volatile situations, honestly, were pretty high variance. Didn't favor them today.
No, I mean, look, I think Rad Esports, obviously they get extremely close, but it seems like there's definitely a little bit of a gap between them and some of those teams in that top 4 at the moment. But no, maybe I definitely think there's a gap between Rad and some of the teams underneath them. It's just how do they go about trying to break into that top 4?
That big question is, of course, if Rad Esports is finding themselves in those relegation and promotion matches, do we expect them to come back in?
I don't think they're going to find their way there. I think they're better than that. I think, you're going to probably see them in the playoff. I would imagine like a 5-6 type of seed. And they're also going to be a little bit scary, right? It's, with the game changing so much, these are very talented players. Could be dicey.
So Rad's next, I'll do the math for you. Rad's next couple of games are SSG and Amplify, right? Right now, even if they lose to SSG 3-0, they're still one whole map ahead of Shikigami, who are 1-4 at 3-13. These guys are 3-9 right now.
And so Shikigami also faces off SSG, but they face SSG next week when things are up in the air, so they have more chances of actually taking a map off of SSG than Rad Esports has tomorrow, would be my take.
Potentially. There's also there are other matches where Shikigami could also get a map win as well, like against Avidity tomorrow. So, that part of the bracket is far from certain here. But, I'm just saying, even with a 0-3, Rad still have kept their head above water. So they've got a buffer, but not a huge one.
Right on. Okay, Squid is earning themselves a player of the match, playing so well in the backline that we just pin him as a DPS player.
Yeah, I mean, he's just pumping out so much damage. May as well just consider him one.
Yeah.
He's had really great series. I feel like every time we've watched this team, just been really impressed with the play this stage.
Oh man, I from the one play, it was Lijiang Tower. I remember it. Lijiang Tower Garden. He I don't know. He just breaks players' ankles on this Juno.
Yeah,
really impressed. Squid also had a great Ana play of the course of this series. This backline is legit sick. This Timeless team really, really good. And again, this core has been together from Timeless to TSM, again back to Timeless, including their coach as well, who stayed with them. So they have a lot to lean on, I think. And again, all of our teams here, there's no change in the standings at the top of the table. Everyone's 3-0'd, right? So everyone's breathed a sigh of relief now. This makes next week ultra interesting.
Yeah, you just mentioned that there's a core roster here that has been together for a long time, including their coach, and their coach is actually going to join us for a quick chat here after this victory. So let's welcome to the show Capitology. Thank you so much for taking the time for a quick chat. Let's talk about your team, because the tier 2 grind was real for a long time for so many of these players. Now you find yourselves at the top of the leaderboard, at the top of the standings. What's the vibe like in the team? What were your expectations heading into this season, and the thoughts on where you ended up now almost at the end of it?
Yeah, I mean, our expectations are definitely pretty high. Going into the season, it was pretty difficult to get supports because the teams were kind of moving around and there were all these rumors about the third partner team, so people were kind of waiting. Some of us almost retired until we saw the partner teams released, actually. And then when we saw the partner teams, we were like, wait, we can beat these teams. It's not as bad as we thought it was going to be. So we put something together, and it's looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, Ethan, of course, you're still working with a core that you know and has sort of performed and is honestly really taken it to these top teams. I think on the TSM roster, you just had a couple of unlucky losses where you couldn't afford to have them, and that sort of put you out in some situations. But we're going to have a shake-up next week, obviously. I'm sure you've been thinking about it. It's probably, one of the only things you've been sort of dealing with. But how do you sort of, as a coach with quite a lot of experience now, approach a shake-up on this scale? What is most important to you in terms of getting your team ready for things to get turned upside down?
I mean, for a match like SSG, and that match is probably going to decide the first seed, I think, or first and second, which is a really big deal with the buys, I think, going into the bracket. It's really difficult because in scrims, all the top 4 teams right now have a really big ego where they wait for you to pick your comp, they counter comp you, they ban whatever you're hovering, and anything they can do to get the map win. which is really annoying when, you know, we're prepping for Rad and Amplify. Obviously, we know we're good. We're trying not to look past these teams because, you know, Amplify takes maps off of top teams. You know, Rad can punch up. So we're prepping for these matches, and SSG is just doing everything they can to squeeze out map wins in these scrims on different comps. People are playing Zarya comps, counter-comping us. So going into this week, I'm going to do the same thing to everybody else. I'm going to wait for them to hover comps in the map. I'm going to ban whatever they're hovering. I'm going to counter comp them, you know, and we'll prepare for this going into SSG.
And I'm curious for your perspective. We've asked a lot of the people that have come on the show. The perk system, how impactful do you think it is? Are there anything that you're excited that comes along with it?
I think perks is cool. I play a lot of MOBA games. I think it's cool to be able to, you know, put your own personal spin on a lot of the heroes. You know, I think it's a good idea to have more individuality, especially in the sense that, like, allowing heroes to kind of be more flexible, fill more jobs in certain teams. You know, I think everything they do towards that end is good. I am a little worried some of the perks look really, really strong right off the bat, but with a patch this big, it's really hard to make any guesses before you get to play it. So we'll just have to wait and see. But
well, we don't have to wait very long since that's happening in just a few days. So we're very excited to see what you and the team have in store for us. Cap, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck in your future matches.
All right. Thanks for having me.
As I said earlier, always great to hear it from the coaches. Yeah, well,
I love Cap. He's always got a bit of sass for us. I think it's so funny, like, our teams are treating scrims like, you know, OWCS finals out there. Hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully it develops, like, the whole of NA into a more competitive region, because it's all well and good to, like, counter comp and ego people domestically. But if you get trashed internationally, then it kind of
it doesn't really matter.
Silly, so yeah.
Yeah, I took the time during the interview to psychoanalyze this particular coach based on his background. We saw a dog bed, dried flowers, concept art on the walls, a vanity mirror, books, a guitar in reach as well. This man is living. Is that distracting him from coaching?
Wow, yeah, the fact that he currently has breath in his lungs distracting him from what's really important.
Yeah, I think he needs to focus up. He has clearly too many hobbies in their life. Don't like that for the team. Let's take a look at our standings, or rather, let's take a look at our schedule. That's even better. This is what we have in store for you tomorrow, Rad Esports. I hope they show the same plus some of what we've seen through them from them today, because if so, they have a real chance of at least taking a map off of SSG.
I think those middle games are also interesting. Like, will anybody ever beat VP? No, we'll see, like, kind of what Peps has there. And
The
then
first one's
Infinity
gonna be
versus